I want to go over a few areas that I would like to get to discuss this evening within this live. John Hall, welcome in. Crazy Paul, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army. I greatly appreciate that continued support, despite the volatility in the crypto market. We've got XRP set up in such a fashion where we're right at this make it or break it point. If we can hold the area we're in, we're going to be setting up for about a 35% move here. It does bring us up into that $3.29 area. There's a few different things we can talk about here, though. Like, I'm excited to be in a live, getting back to like a normal setting here, and doing this at 6 p.m. and being able to talk going into the Monday night close. Andrew Silver at $32.33 an ounce. Yes, it is, and it's a fantastic thing to see. Gold was over $2,900 an ounce today for the first time in its history. So commodities started out the week quite well. Kyle Kupiak, welcome in. Cape Cod Kyle from Massachusetts. A-plus update for us. I'm doing my best, friend. 1970 Legend, thanks for being in Tom's Army. Nick Morales, good evening. Good to see you in here, my friend. We got lots to talk about. Get a little bit of validation here from you being here as well. John Page, good evening. Arelli, good evening. Jan, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years, love. I love it. Bake, good evening. Crypto Cooter, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army. Nick, thank you for that. I missed a couple, though, I see. I missed a couple. Josh, you welcome in, and thank you for being in Tom's Army as well. I noticed, as I said before, I don't know why YouTube's not advancing the monthly memberships into the next month of the badge, but I don't know. It's like kind of frozen in time. It feels like it's been for like 6 or 7 months. It kind of feels like if Litecoin is any indication, XRP should have some crazy upside. Litecoin had a heck of a move. Joseph, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army along with Jacoby and Bob Burtner. Papa Wheelie, good evening. Thank you for also continuing in Tom's Army. I really appreciate that support, everybody. Justin, good evening, my friend. UK Phil, welcome into both of you for being in Tom's Army for well over a year. A couple years for one of you. Thank you so much. So good news, like as far as the advancement with Ripple, I want to read this as Ripple partners with Portuguese firm for cross-border payments in Brazil, which I think is pretty interesting. I know when I was going through here, it talked about XRP versus Solana and the differential, at least in the shorter amount. A time of 330% growth over Solana and fund flows, which is a record for XRP versus Solana in that regard. Was this XRP loses 70% in transactions amid erratic price movements? This is the only thing I really care about all of this is I like how they reported it here. XRP rockets in adoption with Ripple's new partnership in Portugal and Brazil. That's a big partnership. That is a big partnership. We'll read about it. Kryptonian, welcome in. Axelar has been having a decent couple days here. I know you're aware of that, Kryptonian. Back up over 44 cents. It had dropped all the way down. Perfect spot to buy, too. I mean, you can't make it up. It came just down to the support at 32 cents. Perfectly. I mean, almost perfectly. Actually, it was perfectly. When you look at the wider pattern, it came right down to the support structure. I dare say that was a beautiful targeted buy there. Now it's looking to get back over this resistance. I wanted to say it when Kryptonian was here in the beginning. 47.4 is our big resistance here. And then if it breaks up over this, it opens up the door immediately to 73 cents. But because we're at the support structure, you buy support, sell resistance. And now it's way up here at the top. It's way up at the top. Because if you look at it like this, we got the resistance. I mean, it's setting up pretty well now. That was a nice consolidation. So just wanted to make sure I at least said that real quick, because there's going to be a lot to talk about here with XRP. A lot. We got a lot of different directional tugs we could take, but it looks like it's set up to work out in our favor, but we will see. Mr. Carter, welcome in. Hashtag Mother's Second Choice. Tanya, welcome in as well. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for several years. It sucks that they're not updating the badges month by month, which is weird. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll have to take our anger out on YouTube. Buying Ondo now too. I've heard a few of you mention Ondo. I've heard a few of you mention Ondo in the chats. Definitely have. Ton of positive XRP news coming out. Thanks. There sure is, B. There sure is. I mean, it's something great to see. Something great to see. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this pretty deeply, actually. We're going to continue to look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing. We're going to look together to see where Bitcoin is sitting facing XRP or vice versa, where XRP sits in comparison with Bitcoin, as both seem to have some upside here. And yeah, I understand the short term might be blah blah blah, but it's starting to pick up. Algo has been doing a good job the last couple days, back up to almost 29 cents, bouncing off the 200-day, but there's still some work to be done. It came down to the bottom of the structure. Still a lot of work to be done. Could very well be building some kind of inverse pattern here. Maybe a big W is forming here. Looks like a descending triangle or descending. I would say it depends how far this goes. But I would say it's more like a channel here. So we'll continue to watch that. Good thing, which I know a lot of people in my audience seem to be fans as I am. Well, maybe you're fans because of me. But I like this Zebec network. And the more we find about the Zebec, the more we've been liking. And we got a perfect bounce here where we talked about buying the uptrend around 7.7. I have 3 million tokens. And now it's bounced back up. We need to get over this initial resistance here at 0.0095. And then once it pushes past here, it opens up this door to almost a double up here from where it went down to support. Understanding that if that is a bearish pennant, eventually it could fall through very big. But a lot of times these descending wedges like this, if it's a wedge and not a bearish pennant, it's so hard to if you want to say it's a bearish pennant or a bearish wedge, or a bearish pennant flag. But sometimes these are bullish reversals here at the bottom. So one of two things are going to happen. I still think even if it's bearish, it's likely going to round right back up to the top, and that would have made, I thought it made for a pretty interesting bounce from down here, because it was about an 83% bounce from that support structure. So we'll see what happens here. But definitely bounced about 14-15% the last day or so. T Fuel's been great today. Theta Fuel's up 19.3%. Another one perfectly executed here on this structure, and it came right down to our uptrend. I'm very happy to have 10,000 or 100,000 Theta Fuel. This is one that I have big hopes for. I just found I got an opportunity. We talked about it a couple days ago when it first dropped. I think it was like 4 or 5 days ago, and this wick came down, then it kind of straggled out. Unfortunately for everybody, it gave 5 days for that purchase on that uptrend. I think it's a very undervalued, and I think in time it's going to have a massive rally. And then last but not least, that you'll see me discussing more, it's MXC. And that's Moonchain, but that's an IoT, an Internet of Things token, but it has 2.66 billion tokens, 2.4 billion in circuit, or 2.44 billion in circulation. I started talking about it on the recent drop about how I was purchasing, because it came so far down, made a new low, and the way it was set up, it just seemed like it was building some kind of an inverse pattern here. So I said the hell with it. I bought 3 million tokens, even though it had fallen outside of this technically. And I'm waiting for that reversal now. I'm waiting for a rather large reversal. And because it's an Internet of Things token, I think it's going to end up setting up in the future for a very big rally eventually here. Now, understand with this one, this could take us out to 2026 before this is technically done consolidating. So you got time to consolidate and watch this, assuming it doesn't break out. I would say the best opportunity to buy anything within this descending wedge or whatever, descending consolidation, and especially when it fell through, there was an opportunity as well. But we'll see if that ends up playing through. But I'm going to continue to talk about MXC. The fact it's an Internet of Things token, 2.44 billion in supply out of 2.66 billion roughly. And I think it's got severe upside potential here. It's just, how long does this extended bear market go for this particular token? It's starting to reverse here the last day and a half or so, which is nice to see. IOTX is another one I would keep a very close eye on. But I wanted to talk about those just very briefly before we did the intro. 164 people here, so it's good to see some of you are still staying dedicated, even though the market's kind of been like, you know, it's been the left, right, up and down, and a big punch in the face. And then also, one of the hard things right now is XRP is getting a lot of negative publicity, and the fact that it's starting to get back to that theme where a lot of people are saying XRP never moves, which I simply don't understand that philosophy that the price never moves, because we were sitting in November of 2024 at 48 cents. So the understanding that it never moves, but yet in the last 3 months it's up almost $2 a token. If you're being honest, it's one of the best performing tokens in this entire cycle. Because I could simply say, well, if XRP is doing so bad, why is IOTA still at 23 cents and Algo's at 28 cents, but XRP's at $2.41? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. What I see is XRP's leading the way in the altcoin surge, and it's likely ushering in a new era. It's just we're looking at it the wrong way for most. But I'm very comfortable where we're at with XRP. I'm very comfortable where we're at with our portfolios. I actually feel like we're getting a blessing. Being able to read the charts and do what we have to do together, because you're only going to get these prices and you're only going to get these chances one time. Like, the money you make in the big runs are made during these bearish moments. You know, it's made during the understanding moments. XLM is talking trash on XRP. Now, some more drama. Is talking trash on XRP. What do you mean, B? Yeah, I picked up more to lower my dollar cost average. It's at a great price. Oh, UB2B, welcome in, my friend. So awesome seeing you in here. In Tom's Army for over 3 years. Love it. But yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. I don't know what's going on with XLM. I feel like this chart... Oh, no, I guess it's not. It's just stuck here. I was going to say, is the chart frozen? Or, yeah, see, it is. I was going to say it froze earlier on this chart for some reason. And it was just about to show whether or not it was going to make that kind of reversal there on that chart. So we're going to have to put a second XLM chart for when this happens. It's happened 2 days in a row now, which is pretty interesting on that particular chart. We'll see. We'll see. I wish that chart window went away. I don't want to put a second one. I really like this one. But you can see it's at like 31.1. So that would be... So pulled down a little bit, it looks like. We'll see how this plays out. It's broke out of a descending wedge. We still gotta make sure we don't lose that 29 in some change area. But it's formed like this. And sometimes when you break out of these descending wedges, you start to form this continuation pattern. And then until you break out of the stupid continuation, or sometimes you break down and then it ends up coming back apart on you. But they do often rhyme. They often rhyme. This one's not really rhyming too much, except for the fact that it's formed something like this that we got to get out of. Got to get out of it. Well, I suppose you could say something like that, but now we're on the bottom side of it, so you see what I'm saying here. We got to get out of this. We got to get back up. Got to break back up and push out. Otherwise, could have another lower consolidation, but we won't see until that chart starts back up, because for some reason, it does seem to do that here quite often for XLM, so we'll see when that kicks back into gear here. Well, we'll see when that chart kicks back in. If anything, in a couple minutes, I'll bring up the other chart. But we'll get into the rest of it in a minute. So good evening, 6:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, February 10th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. What a beautiful and glorious Monday evening it is. A lot of stuff going on all around, isn't there? But the one thing that's certain is we can get here together, and we can try to get a fundamental understanding of where the heck XRP is going to go here. Not just today, but in the overall outlook, especially with the fact that we've been stuck seemingly in the same area for a couple weeks now. We seemingly seem to have this nice sideways consolidation, but it's not just sideways. If you look deeper, we kind of did the Inception style technical analysis yesterday, which I thought was rather interesting. Um, I back you back. We Z back. Yes, indeed, Joseph, and welcome into the Kupiacs. Thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate that. And the $2 donation and being part of Tom's Army. That is awesome. Nick says, excellent talking smack about Ripple XRP makes me wonder if they're not struggling with internal stuff. I think they're both part of the same coin. So I think them. I think they're just. I think it's all for show, to be honest with you. I think Ripple and so XM and XRP, they're just two sides of a coin. I think they both work together anyhow. Hold on one sec. I just dropped a little bit of water. I need to get a paper towel. Remember, a little bit of controversy. A little bit of controversy is a good thing. So if you get this noise out there, it draws attention to not just the Ripple ecosystem, but Stellar as well. So I think this would be a good move to have a little bit of let's show some inner fighting here. I've always been under the understanding. Well, this isn't an understanding. This is my own personal conspiracy that I've said for years. I think when Brad Garlinghouse and Christian A. Larson and Jed McHale, when they separated, I think they did it strategically because they needed to branch off into something that would appeal more for small business and retail investments. And I still believe too much of retail was buying XRP. I think it got a little out of control with the influencers. They didn't really want to have that much of the token exposed to retail. So they came up with a strategic plan to create XLM through the Stellar network or Lumens, and all those, hey, you can only sell this many XRP per month. I think that was just enough to keep the business running, the XLM ecosystem running. It was enough to finance it. And they strategically did it by saying, oh, your buyout is this much per month. But I think it was just a way for them to strategically build this another on-off ramp for what they're trying to do here. And I think it was clever. I think it's clever because now you either look at Ripple or you look at Stellar, but I think it's all in one. So I think that they actually did something underneath the surface that's actually going to be really big. Hey, I didn't say they don't need to chill, my friend. But if you want to talk about a nice little rivalry here, or something that's going to start a little bit of controversy. You ever hear a little bit of controversy is a good thing? You want controversy. We need something. We need something. What we got to do is bring the spin back. We'll go back to Zebec, Shane. We'll go back to Zebec in a minute. But oh no, I absolutely don't think anybody should be selling right now. I think somebody who said in the comments that people in a couple months are going to be crying who sold. I only think that's accurate because we haven't finished wave 5. Like if you want to sell out after wave 5, that's fine. But I could argue some of these are still in wave 3, or just starting wave 3. So they're a whole part behind here. So I think it's premature in the market. What I think happened, and I wasn't shy about saying it before, but I think what happened is some of the buzz died down here. Yes, the traffic's died down in crypto. One, because the prices aren't going straight up. So now the retail trader that's just here for the noise, who doesn't care about the utility, who doesn't care about the long-term investment, who's just here because they think it's going to go straight up day after day, that crowd is starting to thin out. And you'll start to see it within the trading volume, and not just that, but the viewing volume when it comes to cryptocurrency as a whole through social media, YouTube, TikTok, X, all these different places. But you'll see traffic starting to die down. And at the same time, when that happens, people who sold really going to be crying. I did what Tom did, took initial investment. Nothing wrong with that. The biggest piece of advice here, and thank you for being a very trusted mod. I really appreciate it being in Tom's army. But I believe in one philosophy. You overbuy what you want to own. And then when it gets up at least 1x, I always try to wait until 2 or 3x. But once you get up to 1x, you can theoretically take out your initial investment. We waited well beyond that and we took out our investment, but I always overbuy everything. So everything I own, except for what I purchased recently, that's all on the house's money so that I can advance. So now with these profits and not touching, like I always say, with certain things, if you want to have 10,000, never go below it, but buy above it So when you get these major rallies, you can take a little money and then you can put towards something else. You can put it in your pocket. UB2B, what did you think of the new memes, bro? Thanks for the $5 donation. Well, first, thank you for the $5 donation. But what do you mean about, what do I think about the new memes? Like the new meme tokens as far as like the Trump token and those? But no, what speaking of the memes, what I said when Trump, the Melania token, but especially the Trump token and the GOAT token and these things, the GOAT token was prior to the big surge in crypto. So that's to be expected with the meme tokens. That's to be expected in meme tokens. Like you get these big surges prior to a bull market in utility. But what ended up happening was during the potential bull market, I did not see yet UB2B. I did not see yet, so I'm going to have to take a look. Did you send it on Twitter? I mean, X? I apologize. My mom's been in the hospital, so like, I was kind of like, outside of my updates, I was away from social media. But she did go home today, FYI. So everybody who's been asking, she did go home. So, well, she's with my sister for a few days. But she's out of the hospital, fortunately. Anyhow, the memes, though, with President Trump, I think that sucked out a lot of the utility. I think it sucked out a lot of the market drive that was going towards utility. And it sent us off track a little bit here, which is actually not a bad thing. It's actually not a bad thing because we had a lot of liquidity that came out of it. But it was a dirty move. I like Trump, but I got a lot of slack in my own community because right when it happened, I said, well, here we go. We have a cycle top here, at least for the moment. And it me up. It didn't make me so happy. But I started looking beyond that and looking towards opportunity within the further parts of the crypto. And that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, right now we're in this consolidation phase that it sucks. But if you understand what we're looking at here in the bigger scheme, yeah, in the shorter term, like we still got to get past some high. This is high. We're in such an area where we just got to get past here before we can do anything major. The good news here, though, against Bitcoin, we have seemed to have possibly, with this emergence of this golden cross that's been back tested in the weekly, this is certainly an opportunity here for us to say maybe we did bottom down here. And now with the back test here, that weekly golden cross, that is much more than just a short-term pattern flip. This is a longer-term play now. And in the weekly time frame, when you get this kind of a setup shown, the golden cross here, that's big. And then a back test of it, this is telling us potentially that we're out of the selling pressure. Like there's not enough selling to push us back through. And now the buyers are starting to take command. And if they are, we'll get a confirmation if it gets back over 3057. Then it's a quick and sudden surge up to that 00005. But from where we're at right now, I mean, you're talking a 1x for XRP versus Bitcoin here. Assuming that this can hold and play through. That's 107%. Now, you don't know what that means for the price, and that's just short term, but you don't know what it means for the price action. But what you do show is that against Bitcoin, we're going to have some kind of volatility, like serious volatility. And if it played true, I think it could be building some kind of weird inverse pattern here, like left shoulder, big inverse head to a right. If this happens, we're just getting started. We would just be getting started versus Bitcoin. A big key that I've been trying to point to the last several days, because we did build a descending wedge here in the shorter time frame. So I've been trying to talk about the fact that there's this neckline that's appearing, and we've got to hold this, and then we're going to have a big surge. But if it comes through, then obviously it could be a little more noise. But right now it's $2.41. If that holds, we're going to build this out all the way to $3.27. If it doesn't hold, well, then we're going to have to try to see where we find this new support structure at and see if we can eventually get out of here. Yeah, there's been a little bit of sideways consolidation here since the breakout. And, I mean, you could say it's creating... I don't like when they go out this far, I'll be honest. I would prefer for the breakout to just happen. But we've definitely created a big support structure just on this pretty flat support after this little push out, but I don't want to see it come below this. If it comes below this, there's a problem. Like, I don't want to see it come below because then we're going to have to retest the lower structure, which likely it'll probably happen. With the way it's been going recently, it'll probably happen. But you can see like a concrete pattern that needs to get out of here so you can see. So if it loses $2.41, you're looking at $2.35 pretty quickly. Like, pretty quickly. You know, so that's where overwhelmingly you'd want to hold. Like, really want to hold that structure. So just pay attention to that for XRP. That's what we're going to be fighting with for the next couple days, unfortunately. I mean, we're just going to fight with it. And you can see, we talked earlier how we kind of built that for XLM. Well, if XLM ever comes back online, is it back online now? I think it is. It is not. 3 hours showing. For some reason, the smaller time frames aren't showing, which is quite funny. Quite funny. Let's see. You know, it's always nice when it does that. When the charts, for whatever reason, they just stop working. But it happens. I mean, it does happen. 31.10, we look like we're at 31 cents. Yeah, that's pretty good. So about 31 cents we're sitting at. So you guys can see. So if we're looking at this chart, we've come down about 0.4 of a cent. Still on the outside looking in. Actually, it's a little bit lower, but we're still on the outside looking in is the point. Man, but these descending wedges that it broke on top of, these are bullish continuations, typically. So the fact that it's still building on this, I think it's interesting if that's extending out, because now all of a sudden, it's almost as if we're in a larger setup, which if we can't get out of this, you know, it gets pretty tricky. And I just want to see this play out. I'm not going to overanalyze that, but I definitely would like to see that play out instead of down. I know we've had some questions about HBAR and Zebec, which we'll definitely look at. We've been 27 minutes, so I've got to remember to do this because before I know it, you guys don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to start talking. Now, oh my God, it's been 57 minutes. Tom, I'm going for 50 million Zebec. Ooh. I like that. And for anybody who doesn't know, I just want to go real quick. I want to show you guys the total supply of Zebec. Because I want you guys to see, like, okay, well, there are some tokens here, but it's not like, it's not crazy. It's not a crazy amount. 10 billion. So, or what is it actually? I know they've had a massive amount that have been, what is it? It's 80 billion is going to be the total amount. 71.8 billion are in circulation right now, but I believe it's 80 billion is the total. The current 50.8. No, 72 billion is the circulating supply, but what's the max? I know it's 80. I'm pretty sure it's 80. 80 billion, but they supposedly have had burned 10 million tokens, which is pretty interesting. But it's not crazy. It's not a crazy amount of tokens. So, I mean, I think it's rather interesting. I think it's very interesting. So, hold on. Let's go back to here. So, we got a couple things we need to cover. Big time. Crypto Fear and Greed Index starting to work in our favor here. Down to 43. In fear makes me feel a lot better than when we were at greed at 97. Oh, it makes me, or extreme greed. Makes me feel a lot better when the fear is down here. This is where you can make some noise. Still asleep? Oh, okay. At 6:30. Wow. I know. But I want to get into the liquidation heat map, but I only want to get to that after we get done with our reading. And then after we look at a few different things, that we've talked about, at least within the crypto market. We've got HBAR down at 23 cents right now. Looks like everything at the end of the day, though, is taking a little tug to the downside, which is kind of sucks. But, I mean, it is what it is. But we're definitely starting to take a little tug to the downside here. which is actually pretty noticeable. So we'll have to see exactly how this plays out, at least going into 7 o'clock. Because we're starting to play down here. And here, let me all right, that's perfect. So if we look at it from HBAR's perspective, we've got that flat support structure that was holding on as support. Right now it's below it though. So a rejection here, I mean, you're really looking at about 17 cents again, possibly. Like we could find ourselves, if this doesn't play out here, we really could find ourselves coming all the way down to the bottom of almost this exhaustion wick. I would say 21 cents at first. But then, I mean, if these patterns are really playing the end here, like that is a very distinct double top there, possibly. Like the huge M topping reversal or Batman top. I mean, we're at a very dangerous spot right now for a lot of this crypto. Because if we do get rejected on this attempt back up, not good. And as much as we're talking about wave 5 and having to come up even higher, you know, it's there's a case to be made that the steam got taken out of crypto with all of those meme tokens. Too much liquidity fell out, and then it brought upon a new bear market. That can happen, and it may have happened. That's why I was initially very upset with all the meme tokens that were just being put out. Instead of taking that advantage of the limelight we had and pushing utility and, you know, putting that money to work, instead we touted new meme tokens, and all that capital that was brought in, it ended up being taken out of a lot of our utility. Like that's a problem. That's a problem. We're trying to make up for some of it right now, but it's still a problem. We've got to find that liquidity from somewhere. And I got a strange feeling we're going to find some liquidity, and XRP is going to find itself somewhat higher after this this consolidation ends. And who knows how far it goes in this consolidation. But what I can tell you is XRP's got eyes for different levels. It's just, does it come after another extended bear market or not? Like, can we finish this the way we're supposed to? Or is there going to be that equilibrium point where we're like, oh, shit, we just don't have the volume to bring us to that next tier? You know, that's what we're trying to do together. That's why we come here every single day. It's not easy, but this is what we're trying to come to an understanding of. And yeah, I know I'm talking and I'm trying to get out the point and what I feel and like where my mind is at when it comes to this. But I'm also trying to show you the levels that if they're broken, we got to be damned here a little bit. Or if they're broken to the top side, we can jump for joy. You know, but at least we're showing both sides of the equation. Right now, Zil's up 4.3%, which is nice to see at about 1.47 cents today. But again, just like a lot of the others, we came down to technical support structures. And now it's a matter of, are we going to bounce off, invalidate that death cross that happened in the daily time frame? That's the opposite of what we've seen in the weekly time frame on the XRP Bitcoin pairing where we had the golden cross. This is the opposite. And now we're looking to either get rejected or at least come up. But that's at 1.65 cents. So, yeah, it's going to look good with a 10 to 15 to 20% move. But are we going to go just up for a rejection? You know, are these just rejection taps? Because right now we're on the bottom side of where we need to be. So, and for all intents and purposes, Zil severely underperformed the market here. It's severely underperforming of where I think it should be in the long term. I think we're underperforming right now. I really, really do. I really, really think it's underperforming. So I think we're in the midst of a withstood bear market here for with Zil. We haven't come out of this technically out of a massive bear market. I mean, since 22. Yeah, we came up one time to 4 cents, but remember, Zil was much, much higher than this. I only use this chart because I don't have to look at it when it was way up at 25 or 30 cents or towards that area. So I can look at it in the smaller scale so we can eventually get out of this area. But it's been, make no mistake about it, we've been stuck here for years. And we're at the bottom of it, the lowest of lows. The only thing we got lower was like just around 1.04 cents. We're barely 35% above the lows. That's what I mean. A lot of the stuff has come back to bear market territory. It's only up 30% from the bear market. And that's still, I mean, that did nothing. It's nothing. This hasn't moved anywhere. The good news is that sell pressure is nowhere near the buy pressure when it was having the rally. I think big things are coming still. It's just we're going to have to get through this weak spot. We're just going to have to get through the weak spot. That's it. And the best news or the best advice I can give you is stay away from leverage right now. Stay away from leverage. Just build your portfolio organically. Don't worry about, oh, you got $500, you got to 15x this to try to make it 15 times faster. Play it by the patterns. Don't overextend, and we'll be okay. It's the ones who are going to get in trouble are the ones that are over leveraging and doing things like that. If you're just doing it by the book, you're going to be okay here. Vechain at 3.3 cents, up about 4.4% today. This is another one that's massively underperforming. I mean, if you just look at the bear market, we were at about 1.8. The lowest of the bear market in September of 23 we're at about 1.3 cents. And right now it's at 3.3. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still within the same consolidation. And yeah, breakout of this should get us up near 9 cents, but will a breakout come? Will a breakout come? When will a breakout come? If we measure it from back here, you're looking at 9 or 8.7 cents, and that could drag out until September of this year even. This pattern, though, with this resistance that formed and the support that's formed, technically could bring you out until that. Well, a lot of them even point to 2000. Could you imagine if we had to go through an extended bear market and just in the areas we're in, and then we had to wait all that time? I think a lot of people would get a little frustrated. It would get interesting. Bitcoin at 97,339, up 862 points. And I think the best way to look at Bitcoin, it's still in that symmetrical triangle breakout. Some have asked me if Bitcoin invalidated that head and shoulder, or the cup and handle, because it came down here. It depends what definition you look at. But for me, I always look at fake out, so I don't care if it came down like that for this cup and handle. If it breaks down and invalidates it, so be it. But it's going to have to break down and do a proper breakdown for me to say it's invalidated. And if it invalidates, we know it goes to 74,981. We do need it to break out of this short-term consolidation. If it breaks bullish, we're going 114 and then 122,000. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is this is a bearish consolidation and it's just some noise here. And it's going to eventually break down and it'll be to 74,981. At least we know the optics. Whether it wants to go up or down, we know what to look for. And we'll know if it gets to uh-oh and it breaks down, we'll be like, uh-oh. But like you can almost say maybe a little bull flag started here, right here. After the drop down to 94,750, it had about a 5,000 point rise here, or 4,000 point rise. Almost could say that maybe it is building some kind of bull flag, or maybe some kind of bullish bounce here. If it gets out of here, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be spectacular. And there are a few things that are starting to pop out that should give us a little bit of hope here. And that's not just me saying it. That's just the market trying to point to a little bit of optimism. I mean, T Fuel is one that when I see, and yeah, right now it's up 16.6%. At one point, it was all the way up earlier to almost 6.3 cents. But the importance of this is we're riding on the top side of the 200-day. And yeah, even though it looks a little bearish in this candle, which it should come down a little more to about 5.1 if I'm being honest, it's hanging out up here for the last like 10 to 12 hours. It's hung up on top of the 200-day. So you see how it's on top instead of hanging out below and trying to push through? This is a good sign for continuation. The volume's crashing as the price is crashing after the top of this push. So, but the volume coming down, the price coming down, that's a recipe for a bullish continuation. Based on what we're seeing with T Fuel, this could be speaking to the fact that we're going to get a further surge here after 7 o'clock for some of the tokens that are struggling here on Monday. And we did have a volume breakout with T Fuel, so that is great to see. Excuse me. Plus, it's always good to see some of your tokens start to push out ahead of some of the others. So I'm happy to see that. Somebody asked me in the beginning, I don't know if you're still here with Zebec. But somebody did ask me, Tom, did you say that you have Axelar and Caspa yesterday? Or am I mistaken? I have Axelar. I don't have Caspa. I have Axelar 100%. I have like 12,000, just over 12,500 tokens. I feasted when it went down to that 31 cent area. I was very clear if it went down there, I was going to load up as it was starting to drop, and I did the whole way down. But for Zebec, ZBC, somebody had asked if we had already talked about it. I said I would go back to it. And we know the potential if it were to drop down, we could come all the way down if this would have broke the support structure. And we put it down there just in case that it could have went down to that 0.00008213. But my expectation was not for it to break down. My expectation was even if it was bearish to come up near that 1.4 level, the 0.014. And we were just talking about the opportunity it was because I bought once it dropped down and then I've been talking about it. And now it came back down. So I have 3 million Zebec. But from that 7.7 area, we talked about the massive move of almost 80% or about 80%. Right now, it's gone up about 23% from the uptrend from where we bought it. So, I mean, it's been a nice little move here already. And I know for some who started buying it just while we were doing this during the lives, I mean, to watch it come down right to that uptrending support where we said would be the best buy to buy it, assuming it didn't break down. I think some of you are very happy already, up better than 25%. It looks good here. Zebec's looking good here. Nice daily time frame. Looks like it's breaking out in the daily. Got over a very critical resistance at 0.00957, so I'm very happy about that. And it looks like we're starting to make our way up here a little bit. I'll be happy in the next couple of days if we do have a big surge. Looks like it's starting to front run something here. Yesterday it was up about 12%. Today, or 15%. Today it's up about 5.6%. So we're starting to make a little bit of noise there. Just a little bit of noise. So we'll see if that's something that we need to watch further. At least in regards to the market starting to pick it up. Like XRP starting to turn it up just a tiny bit. We just got to make sure that we break out of that neckline area and maintain it at $2.41. And then we can make our way up to $3.27. And I'm still looking at some good optimism here for XRP. Good optimism. I want to read this real quick, though. Ripple partners with Portuguese firm for cross-border payments to Brazil. If you're still here, 195 people, 124 likes. If you're still here, and you think that we're going to have a continuation at some point here and the cycle's not done, type in wave 5 in the comments. I want to see how many people are paying attention. Just type in wave 5 if you think XRP still got one more leg up. Ripple partners with Portuguese firm for cross-border payments to Brazil. Ripple is partnering with Unicambio to transform cross-border payments between Portugal and Brazil. Unicambio is a Portuguese currency exchange provider. Will use Ripple Pay to make businesses faster and easier. Ripple's XRP token has seen notable corrections in the past week, and this deal hasn't changed bearish momentum. However, in the long term, it may present a lucrative revenue stream as the partnership broadens the utility of the XRP ledger. Unicambio to leverage Ripple's XRP ledger. For most of the crypto industry history, cross-border payments have been an essential sector of interest. Oh, I want to see something real quick. I probably should have known this earlier based on a few signs that I was seeing. Yep. Another reason I wanted you guys to type wave 5 is I felt like the comments weren't coming through like they should. And now I look at my phone and there's got to be about, I don't know, 25, 30 different people saying wave 5. Absolutely. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Tom Peak at XCN for our pale. Joseph Kupiak, please. And thank you +1 for sunny days. Hey, thank you for the $4.99 donation, Bigfoot. Here, before I finish reading this, before I forget, I'll go back to I'll go to the XCN chart that I have. It's the Kraken one, and just to see where we're at. So still very much within the setup. We're below, but we'll get rid of that because that's not important. So basically, we're still within this consolidation. This is basically your make it or break it. If we come through here at 2.2, right around 2.2 cents, that's where we have the optics of coming all the way back down to 0.082. Which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. I actually could see it happening, but it has to lose this 200-day area. It has to. If this is going to happen, it would have to give way here. That's kind of bearish here, though, I'll be honest. That candle doesn't look great. We'll see, though. It didn't make a new low, which is good. As long as you don't lose this uptrend at 2-2, I'd say 2-3 area is good. But overall, you've got to make sure that this holds this 4-hour time frame in the 200-day to not reverse. But that bearish cross through the 100-day now, not just the 50, it's kind of speaking to the fact we're starting to reverse back down just a little bit more than we want to. However, the uptrend is still held. And that's been the uptrend since we broke out. So as long as it respects this, we're fine. But there's going to come a moment in time that it's going to have to come back and back test this lower area. It'll happen eventually. Whether it happens now or not, who knows? But it's definitely in a very, very, very dangerous spot if it breaks down here. I mean, very dangerous. And you could argue, though, that this is the best opportunity to buy because it's at that uptrend. But if it falls out, I mean, you're looking at about a 63% drop from where it's at from the top right now. And this often happens when a token gets a lot of buzz. People will start buying it and talking about it on the rally, but then they'll go away when the consolidation or the end of the pattern happens. And right now, being down 53% from the top, you're not hearing as much noise in the comment section especially. I haven't heard many people talk about this at all now that it dropped down. But this is where you should be paying most attention because now it's right at that uptrend. If it holds this, it's going to have a volatile swing. And even if it's just a small bounce to back to resistance, that small bounce could be better than 43% move for somebody. That's not a small move. So that's how much space is in this little pattern. So even if it holds and doesn't continue, but this was the expectation we had in the beginning. Now that it's showing us more evidence, you can very clearly see that's a very straightforward resistance though. So that might not be all on the table. Like you very clearly can see that we've come through and we're basically, this resistance is cutting us off now. I think many of you can see what I'm talking about here. So it's possible that that's squeezing right here now. And now it's tightened. That's why I wanted to show this with the updated look. So you might be between a range of 2.6 and 2.3 right now. That's about 0.3 of a penny is the range. So pay attention. Very, very close attention here. Because if it does break down, you're looking at a 63% consolidation to the downside. So, and it's on the verge here. And if more money goes into utility, it's going to exit a token like XCN. Not because it might not have viability, but because of, I've said it before and I'll say it again, but the optics here make it look more like a pump and dump in the short term with a long-standing possibility after it goes back down to that 0.008 whatever level, that it could have a long-standing push up. But I'd be uncomfortable buying in this range only because it hasn't come back down to those lower ranges the way it probably should have. Wave 5 agreed. Gotcha. Excellent. Liquid heat map. Oh, looks like it's going to kill you. We'll go to the liquidation maps in a sec. We'll end this on the liquidation heat maps. We still got about 12 minutes left, but I want to finish reading this this story for XRP. I want to finish reading this, but I got to finish reading this real quick. So Ripple is expanding its interest. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Ripple XRP token has seen notable corrections in the past week, and this deal hasn't changed bearish momentum. Oh, no, I have to, yeah. We already read that. We already read there. So Ripple is expanding its interest in this field by partnering with Unicambrio to facilitate payments between Brazil and Portugal. The platform will be able to use Ripple's XRP ledger to process payments in real time. Our partnership with Unicambrio is a significant milestone in Ripple's European expansion. By connecting our payment networks in Portugal and Brazil, we are facilitating faster, more cost-effective cross-border payments while strengthening the economic bridge between those two major markets, said Cassie Craddock, Ripple's managing director, UK and Europe. All the players in this story have experience in the field. Ripple has long maintained an interest in cross-border payments, even facilitating a similar program between Japan and Brazil. Brazil's central bank also partnered with Chainlink and Microsoft to build cross-border payments, while Portugal's own central bank favors a global crypto framework. See, there's a lot of information here that we can at least ascertain, like the fact that Ripple XRP is still expanding when it comes to adoption. Unicambrio is a Portuguese currency exchange provider and it will use Ripple Pay to facilitate payments from its home country to Brazil and vice versa. In this move, Ripple will leverage its pre-existing Brazilian presence to expand operations into Europe. The two countries have strong economic ties, making this deal potentially lucrative. Ripple could use a lucrative deal right now, and its connections in Brazil may help deliver one. Despite the firm receiving major good news, its XRP token has performed dismally over the last few days. Its bearish momentum recently hit a 3-month high as network activity also declined. For now, however, the Unicambrio announcement has had a negligible price impact. Ripple may be able to use cross-border payments between Brazil and Portugal as a test case and conduct similar operations worldwide. Ultimately, however, long-term plans like this may hinge on this partnership's success. So, that's something big. I want to look at this now. I want to end this here, but not before we look at the heat liquidation map for Bitcoin and XRP. And then I gotta go help Julie with our son. We got a big week here, having my windows put in on Wednesday, so that's gonna be interesting. So yeah, yada yada yada, and so on and so forth. No, first we're gonna go into the Bitcoin heat liquidation map. Yeah, we probably should look at Bitcoin first. We probably should look at Bitcoins first. If I'm being honest, I think we should start there. I think it's, so the ones who said we're going to get slaughtered, I mean, it depends how you look at it, because the heaviest liquidation areas for Bitcoin are not below, folks. We took out the heavy liquidation areas already at 91K. We've got 411 million around 94,600. Nothing bigger. There's nothing bigger than that below. Above, there's tons more. But when you get to the massive liquidity areas, it's up here. You've got some big plays up here, 535 million. You've got billions of dollars up over the top. Like, you've got much more liquidation over the top. And I think this is speaking to the fact that we have to come up there. We have to come up there and collect that liquidity. A lot of short traders think they're safe with their leverage way up there, their liquidation price on Bitcoin. And it's the same it's the same exact dog and pony, or the same dance is being played on XRP. We came down and took out so much liquidation. You see this area up here for Bitcoin? This is the same equivalent of XRP being back up near 340 and 350. And I'm going to show you the same exact correlation with XRP, with how much liquidation there is in the monthly above us, way above us. Because below us, we already took out the major liquidation zones. Major. And it was nothing short of remarkable. What is this crap? I guess this is the way this one shows. I forgot. So, below us, you don't see much in the short time frames. There's barely anything. Yeah, I know, 23 billion, 60 billion, 118, but that's nothing. Over the top, 415 billion at $3.23. 553 billion in short liquidations on XRP at $3.37. $3.41, 559 billion. You've got massive trillions of dollars of liquidation once you get over $3, and in a big way. I mean, a big way. Once you get over at $3.23, it starts with almost over half $1 trillion in liquidations just at $3.23. So I would be stunned if the market makers left that amount of liquidation up there without having to come back and grab it. So I don't know about you. It leaves me with an awful lot of hope here that not just because we haven't completed wave 5, but the fact that not just Bitcoin, but also XRP has massive liquidity above. And it's not just that, it's the fact we took out all this liquidity below. There was $400, $500, $600 billion down here, and we said, oh shit, we're screwed. We got to come way down. That's what we took out. Now, if you're a short trader, you're saying, oh my God, we're screwed. If you're just looking at it from a liquidity standpoint, from a fear versus greed index standpoint, from wave 5 standpoint, that still has to be, this doesn't look good for short traders in the long term. In the short term, you have no idea, but in the long term, a lot to be discussed. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. We're going to call it a day here. I got stuff to do with Julie. We still got to take care of our son and yada, 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 so on and so forth. If you're looking to trade crypto, I would do it when we're in this high time of volatility. And you don't have to set anything up. Just have yourself situated for when the next move comes. BITUNIX is my go-to. Lowest spot and leverage trading fees, lowest maker-taker fee. And no KYC exchange unless you want to do a KYC. You can trade in secrecy, so to say. Lot of cryptos there. A lot of different cryptos. And then everything else I use is right here in front of you. I'm not going to go over it. But that's the way to do it if you want to send a donation. Outside of YouTube, there's PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. But so many different ways to do this. So many different ways to look at this market. But I appreciate everybody who stayed tuned throughout the end here. The daily closes at 7. And once we see where it closes, I'm out. It's a good close in the sense that we're over $2.41. But in the 4-hourly, that could be technically, you could look at that as a bearish doji candle, unfortunately. Like a gravestone somewhat. But we'll see. We'll see if it ends up having a little bit of volatility to the upside when we flip the candle. Daily time frame at least pushed itself back to the top side. We're on top of the pivot point. So hopefully we can lend ourselves to some upward volatility. And we close right around $2.42.3. I'd say $2.42.3 is fair. We at least closed over $2.42, even in the USDT chart. So that's where we stand today. If I have the time, I'll do a little update later. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the morning. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all so much for the support, for the time. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, subscribe and join the 31,100 plus subscribers. Share this. Make sure to hit the like button. But it's been an honor. It's been an honor. Really, really has. Really, really has. I believe, like somebody said in the comments, the system does want everybody to sell Jabril. I agree with you. And I think that's why we got to stay very focused on where we're actually at. Stay blessed, everybody.